Peace, family. I've always said that Donald Trump was the dumbest president this country has ever had. But I'm in the mindset now of saying this is the dumbest person this country has ever had. Donald Trump's ignorance is uncalculable. There's no way you can measure how stupid this one person is and even be close to the final results. He just did an interview a few days ago with Terry Moran. And Terry asked Donald Trump what his opinion of the Declaration of Independence was. And he looked directly at it in the Oval Office. Now, keep in mind that Donald Trump is serving his second term in office. This declaration is up on the wall right in the Oval Office where he be at every single day. And he looked at that thing and said that it means exactly what it says. A declaration of love and peace. That is the exact opposite of what the Declaration of Independence is. But see, the thing is, you don't have not one Republican calling Donald Trump out on his ignorance. When Donald Trump said that, Terry Moran looked and he looked back. He like, are we looking at the same document? The Declaration of Independence was basically this country and its 13 colonies telling Britain that they've had enough and they're going to do it their way. And they put this on paper so the world would know. But see, the Declaration of Independence does not just have to be on paper. It can be in actions and behavior. If you working in a job and you're training, it's at some point in time you feel that you're ready to do this job on your own. So you could just tell your trainer, tell your manager or whoever, I'm ready to do this solo. I don't need the training wheels no more. You have children that as they mature and you changing their diapers, giving them baths, tying their shoes, at some point in time, these children start to buck at you wanting to help them do everything. There was a video that went viral when this little girl was in the back seat of the car and she was struggling trying to get the car seat loose. And when the father reached back to assist her, the little girl said, I got this. Don't worry about this. But let me help. She said, no. Worry about yourself. I do this by myself. And that's her Declaration of Independence. She's getting to a point where she doesn't need or require help, and she's willing to struggle doing it on her own. The Declaration of Independence is the foundation on what this country was built upon. And Donald Trump don't have a clue of what it means. And he looks at it every day. He's in the Oval Office. And there's been no cry out from the Democrats, no legislation to remove this man. And this guy is not only making decisions on our health, on our prosperity, but this man is making decisions on who belongs to this country or not. The Democrats just tried to pass a bill, I don't know if they did it or not, stating that the government cannot use taxpayer funds to deport U.S. citizens. This is unheard of. The very same people who voted you in the office. Now Donald Trump feels that he could just kick U.S. citizens into another country. He was overheard talking to the president of El Salvador, saying that he wants him to build more prisons so they can deport homegrown criminals. That means U.S. citizens. And nobody called him out on it. You sat back and said nothing. When this man campaigned saying that he was going to be a dictator, everybody said, oh no, he's just joking. When he was talking about, mass deportation, taking millions of people out of the country once he become elected, oh, he can't do all that. This is what this man is doing. When the Pope passed away, he sat up there jokingly talking about maybe he can be the next Pope. And then a few days later, he's placing a meme on his social on his True Social format, him being the Pope in full papal guard. This man is a complete moron. And what are the Democrats doing? Passing legislation that the government can't deport its own citizens? I don't know what's more ridiculous, Donald Trump or the Democratic response. Here's the deal. If a person took a job as a lifeguard and had no ability to swim, you are putting everyone who's in that water at risk. And depending on the frequency that a lifeguard is needed in this area or the population that's in the water, if anything happened to any of those people that's visiting the beach that day, and you took this job knowing full well that you are not equipped to perform its duties, just being in that chair should be a crime. It should be unlawful for you to even take that position. How do you elect Donald Trump president, and then this man does not even know what the interpretation of the Declaration of Independence is, but yet you want to kick out migrants who come to seek asylum in the United States, and they know more about the Constitution than you do? And then he just had an interview with Kristen Welker, stating, and she asked him that does he feel he has to uphold the Constitution, and he doesn't even know. This man just pledged to uphold the Constitution a little over 100 days ago before he took office. At what point in time during his administration did following or upholding the Constitution become optional? And look at black people. We are more committed to upholding the Constitution than Donald Trump is. If it's an option to him, why is black people even considering it? This man does not belong anywhere in the Oval Office. He don't belong in the White House. He don't even belong on the East Coast. That's how he should not even be allowed on the East Coast. If the Democrats don't start calling this guy out on his ignorance, because this man has made enemies out of every ally this country's ever had. Here you have Saturday Night Live. If they wanted to, they could make jokes about this guy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and never use the same material twice. This is how stupid Donald Trump is. And you're talking about at some point impeaching or limiting his decision making. Congress want to take away his ability to implement tariffs. Well, if you want to take away Donald Trump's ability to implement tariffs, these are the decisions that Donald Trump made. Why don't you implement to get the decision maker out of office? If this man is damaging the country that bad that Congress is going to undo what he said he wanted to do, just get the whole person out of office. And see, it's going to get to a point that Donald Trump's stupidity is criminal. But allowing this nonsense to go on and trying to pass laws to limit what the government can do to U.S. citizens, and you Democrats just want to stop at you can't deport U.S. citizens, and that's it. How about passing a law that the government cannot do anything to undermine any freedoms, liberties, or protections of U.S. citizens? You can't use taxpayers' money to undermine the peace and prosperity of your own citizens. How about passing a law like that? And being a Republican or Democrat in this day and age, it's borderline criminal. It is time for independence. It is time for black people to sever ties from this system. Our fate does not have to be their fate, period. And it won't be if we take ownership of our occupation. That means owning our own independent businesses, industries, and institutions so we can determine our own existence. If Donald Trump don't feel that he has to uphold the Constitution and then he can do whatever he want to do, then when he do get out of office, he has immunity, and there's nothing that you could do to prosecute him once he get out. So no matter how many people this lifeguard put at risk, because you hired him with immunity, people can drown, you can't, and this guy just walks away. You wouldn't do that for a lifeguard, but why would you do it for a president of the United States? This is absolutely ridiculous.